What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Live. I just got off from work, and I was doing some work here in the studio, and I was just pissed from last night's stream, talking about how much a piece of trash Michael Proctor is, and I want to just go back and remind everybody how much a piece of trash this guy is. And I thought that we would go back and look back at some of his testimony during Karen Read 1.0, because, as we know, he has major implications, and he may have some issues in the Brian Walsh case. We talked about that on last night's show, but I want to go back and look over this testimony again and just, show people and review this of how much a piece of trash this guy is. It literally bothered me all day at work. I'm like, I have to go back and look at this. And 17 minutes into this testimony, we're going to hear the C word. And that's what he thought of Karen Read. And he wasn't even 16 hours into his investigation and had already been talking trash about Karen Read. His non-biased opinion, his investigation, 16 hours into his investigation, he was already texting very nasty things about Karen Read. So let's go back. We'll look at Trooper Proctor's testimony. I'm not saying that I'm excited to go through this again, but it just proves how much a piece of trash this guy is. And hopefully in his hearing in a few days, he is gone forever. But it remains to be seen. I said last night on the show, I think they're going to go, well, we've collected all this data. We've heard from Trooper Michael Proctor. We're going to take this all into consideration. And it will get delayed until Karen Read 2.0 at the end of that trial, and then they'll probably have their final decision. So let's go back and look at the testimony. Let me pull this up, and let's sit back. Let's see. Let me see. Clarissa said she loves the shirt. Yes, you got the BLT shirt on. Look at this thing. I love it. I love the shirt. I gotta create some. I gotta get together with an artist to create one. I actually got this off Amazon. Be Kinder says she loves the shirt as well. So let's sit back. Let's go back and relive the trashy testimony from Trooper Michael Proctor. Here we go.
Go right ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Alan Jackson's gonna tear shit up.
Trooper Proctor, I'm going to ask you if you wouldn't mind to turn to tab 2 in the binder in front of you.
Like the shirt.
Can you take a look at the face page of what's
this guy's fucking
under
trash?
tab 2 and tell me if you recognize that?
Yes, sir. It's a private text thread with high school friends.
Yeah, he's in a text thread with high school friends. He's going to be in there with his fucking superiors. Who knows? Maybe he's in there with his cat too. But let's see. Law Girl says, not attorney podcast says, so glad he stayed objective and never got tunnel vision. Yeah, 16 hours in, he was already coming to determinations and saying nasty, vile shit about Karen Read. All right, let's go.
And this includes 9 participants, 9 chat participants that you engaged with?
That's correct.
Those participants include people by the name of Bird, Whitey, and Duck, correct?
Correct.
And then there's some other folks in there. They're identified by at least the last 4 digits of their phone number, correct?
Yes.
So this is a group text or a group chat with you and 8 of your high school friends about this investigation, correct?
Yes.
Trooper Proctor, you never thought when you were engaged with these other 8 individuals that this particular set of chats would ever become public, did you?
But as I said, here we go, because now, if you watched last night's show, we talked about the implications that could happen in Brian Walsh's case. And again, I think his attorneys are just jumping up, probably throwing some shit against the wall and seeing what's going to stick. But, it just proves that when you're a shitbag in one case, you're not only doing it in that case, and that's the scary thing in Brian Walsh's case. Granted, do I think that he did his job there? Probably, but do we know if he said anything about him? And that could cause problems in Walsh's case as well. I mean, I said this yesterday. This is not just one instance that all of a sudden in this case, he's going to become very biased and say all these things about Karen. This is a track record, and this is learned behavior. And I said this yesterday on the show, that this is not only something that he is engaged in in his career as being a trooper. This is learned behavior. So this carried through his entire life. This is someone that has done this before, set off to be a trooper, tricked the psychology exams, got in as being a trooper, and kept this behavior going. I'm sure this is very childhood behavior that just carried on through his life, because this is not like a behavior that just starts instantly, oh, I'm in this case and I'm going to be biased and say all these awful things about someone. He's talked about this with other cases and other people before as well. This is just not a one-off incident. It's not a one-off instance. All right, let's keep going here. We'll start with the testimony.
No, I do not.
I want to take a look at page 2527. If you could turn, that's on the bottom right of the document in tab 2. Do you recognize? I'm sorry. Do you have that page in front of you?
Yes, sir.
You recognize that this group chat was taking place on January 29th at about 10:52 p.m. Correct?
Scary,
Correct.
right?
And
right, Scott?
the person
Scary.
that I'll identify as 5051. That's the last 4 digits of that phone number. Indicates Chip, name of that BPD cop. Correct?
Correct.
First of all, you indicated on Monday that you're Chip. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You responded at 10:53 p.m. John O'Keefe. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you were willing to tell, just a few hours into an investigation of the death of a Boston police officer, you were willing to tell a bunch of high school buddies details about the investigation, including the name of the victim, correct?
Oh,
At this
thanks,
point,
Dad.
it's 16 hours later, sir. Not a few.
16 is a few hours, correct?
16
Not talking about
hours.
days later.
It was about 16 hours later, sir.
Correct. And you identified John O'Keefe as the Boston police officer who is fallen in the yard at 34 Fairview, correct?
Correct.
You also informed, if you will skip to page 2529, you also informed these same folks,
I always love this too. When you go back and look at the trial, when we play through these testimonies, I always look at Lally, okay? Lally's desk, always disorganized, there's papers everywhere. And then when it pans back to Karen Reed's defense team, everything is organized. It's clean. It's ready to go. This guy's like all over the place.
same high school buddies that quote, all the powers that be want
now
answers
no problem,
ASAP,
buddy.
correct?
No problem.
Yes.
You knew,
You
Trooper
can
Proctor,
jump
that
up
there
if
was
you want,
brass
buddy. I don't know what you're doing, but
that wanted
I'm gonna
this
come
case
hang
wrapped
out.
up quickly and efficiently. Isn't that right?
please, welcome. Come on up. Hang out.
Is that what you were
If
thinking?
not, no problem. We'll hang.
No,
We'll hang here.
people wanted answers, sir.
They wanted it. They didn't just want answers. They wanted answers ASAP. What does ASAP mean?
That's as soon as possible.
Right.
Yep.
And you were texting this to your high school friends again,
No
16
problem,
hours
Roger.
into this investigation, right?
Correct.
And you knew at that time, Trooper Proctor, that this was not going to implicate in any way, shape, form, or fashion another cop, correct?
Correct.
In this text exchange, let's turn to 2532, actually.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. So now
You have that
what
in
he's
front of you?
going to do
I do.
is look back at his track record here of the text messages, and when Alan Jackson starts digging into this scumbag, he's going to have to start thinking like, this is black and white data. There's no way I'm going to get out of this. Unlike Jen McCabe, which she's like all over the place. I got to look at it. I got to see how I'm going to find my way out of this. This is right there. It's right there. Black and white. Not going to escape.
In this text exchange at 10:56 p.m., your buddy Bird writes, I'm sure the owners of the house will receive some shit, correct?
Correct.
How did you take that to mean? Did you take that to mean that he could get in trouble?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what my friend was getting at.
Who knows?
Well, you had some idea.
Yeah,
on,
The
Right.
owners of the house isn't going to get any shit for this, right?
that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, you interpreted it like he's not going to get in any trouble. He's not going to be a suspect, correct?
Correct.
And he's not going to be implicated in any way. Is that right?
Correct.
And your answer was one word, correct?
Yes.
What was that word?
Nope.
Nope.
And then you followed that up with an explanation as to why you said no, didn't you?
Because
That wasn't the
gonna help
explanation
cover it up.
why I said nope. I simply said homeowner's a Boston cop too, meaning Mr. O'Keefe was a Boston cop. The homeowner was a Boston cop as well.
The question that preceded your answer, nope, the homeowner's a Boston cop too, was the homeowner's going to get some shit for this,
Right.
correct?
That's not what I meant with that text.
That's what you wrote.
Excuse me.
Not what I meant, sir.
All right, let's take it in order. Question. Oh goodness, the homeowner's going to get some shit for this. Answer, nope. Next text, he's a Boston cop too. That doesn't sound like an explanation for your nope.
No, that's just
Hello.
saying he's a Boston cop as well. Mr. O'Keefe is a
And that's
Boston
why
cop.
he's not going to get any shit. Correct, Trooper Proctor?
Well, he's not going to receive any shit, sir, because Mr. Albert, the homeowner, had nothing to do with Mr. O'Keefe's death.
And you knew this 16 hours into your investigation.
Yes.
Less than a day.
Yes.
To your satisfaction.
To my satisfaction
And
and
you
to the
hadn't
members
been
of my
to the
unit.
crime scene?
So let him finish. We didn't get finish
So-
your answer.
To my satisfaction and to all the members of my unit who investigated that day.
Objection.
And I wish I fucking was sitting in court that day. I wish I was standing there. I wish I was sitting there in court that day. I had bukkake when I went in, but man, I wish I had bukkake. Oh God. I can't believe I just said that. But when I went in to sit into court, I was in when bukkake was testifying. But I wish I was sitting there with Trooper Proctor, having a look at this guy squirm on the fucking stand after all the things that he said about Karen and just getting vilified by Alan Jackson. I literally just said I had bukkake when I went in. Oh my God.
So I'm going to let it stand. Trooper Proctor, you have to keep your voice
Oh,
up,
shit.
okay? Jurors need to hear you way back there.
Yes, ma'am.
The fact of the matter is, you hadn't been to the crime scene by the time you wrote this text, correct?
Correct.
You
You
hadn't
know
been
what I
inside the
meant.
home, correct?
No.
You had
The trolls will probably soundbite that one.
investigated, or sorry, you had
know what I
questioned a grand total of 3 percipient witnesses at this point, correct?
Yes.
And 2 of the 3 were named McCabe, right?
Correct.
And 1 of the 3 was named Albert, correct?
Yes.
And it's against that backdrop that you wrote, nope, the homeowner's not going to get any shit because he's a cop, right?
That's not what I meant by that.
At 10:57, Bird goes on to write, he, the homeowner, must have been a puddle to accomplish that. And then he writes, who's the homeowner?
100%.
And then he writes, I hope not, but I can see it, correct?
Yes.
A puddle means drunk, correct?
That's a term for it. Yes.
In other words, Bird wrote that the homeowner must have been so drunk, so wasted to have killed him, correct?
Objection.
Do you know what that means? Do you know
She
what
has
that
no
text
other
means?
choice.
Just the puddle part, Your Honor. That term.
All right, so you can
Awesome.
answer
Thank
that.
you. Welcome in.
And the puddle part means drunk or wasted, right?
Yes.
Tap that like button if you just come in. I appreciate it.
And what Bird actually wrote was, he must have been a puddle to accomplish that, correct?
That's what he wrote.
And then you write back, quote, she waffled him. I looked at his body at the hospital, right?
Correct.
You used the phrase waffled about a Boston police officer who had fallen in the snow and died in someone's yard. And you decided to use the word waffled him, correct?
Objection.
So sustained. Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Did you answer, she waffled him, I looked at his body at the hospital?
I did answer that. Yes.
And then Bird questioned, she waffled him, correct?
Yes.
And then you responded, he was banged up. Is that right?
Yes.
Then a person with the phone number 0095 wrote, I thought he was drunk. Did he get beat up? You see that?
I do.
And you wrote, nope. Is that right?
Correct.
Yet again, this is before 11 o'clock at night
100%
on
correct.
January 29th, 2022, some 16 hours into your investigation. Is that right?
Yes.
So before you ever went to the crime scene, before you ever went into the house,
Already I made a
only having
determination.
interviewed 3 folks, you had this case
Yep.
nice and wrapped up.
100%.
Yes. Based on the evidence my office uncovered that day, the one shoot discovered at the scene, the one shoot at the hospital, Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, the broken taillight pieces underneath the snow.
Super Proctor, I didn't ask for an explanation. I asked,
I-
did you in your mind have this case wrapped up? Was it cut and dry in your mind?
Yes.
Bird then writes, so the owner of the house was a woman. Sorry, was a woman cop that beat him, question mark, right?
Yes.
And then you wrote, that's what I initially thought after talking to Canton paramedics. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you said, then I saw the guy, correct?
Correct.
So what you meant by that, Trooper Proctor, was according to you, based on your conversations, your initial conversations with the paramedics, the first responders, you were under the impression that this was a beating death. He'd been beaten to death, correct?
The way it was given to me, sir, was
That's yes
for
or no?
medical.
That's yes
No,
or no?
he's going to answer the question. If you want
Go
to
ahead.
withdraw the question, you can.
No, go ahead.
We entered this investigation with an open mind. It was given to me as a medical situation. And when we saw Mr. O'Keefe's body at the hospital with Sergeant Buchanan and I, we saw his injuries and we were kind of working through how these injuries occurred.
As a matter of fact, both you and Sergeant Buchanan believed that he had suffered the injuries as a result of a physical altercation based on information you received from the paramedics initially, correct?
Initially, we didn't know what we had. We knew there was some significant injuries to Mr. O'Keefe. And we're still figuring out how those injuries occurred.
Well, you just testified. Initially, we didn't know what we had.
And I'm glad Alan Jackson's following up with this. He just literally said that he made his mind up, but then he just said, well, we were still looking at the evidence and becoming to the determination. But you had this pinned, right? And Jackson's going to challenge him here.
Right.
But 16 hours after the fact,
Right.
you wrote the following sentence. That's what I initially thought after talking to Canton paramedics. Correct?
Correct.
So initially, you did think you knew what you had.
Right.
A physical altercation leading to a death. Correct?
Correct.
So when you just said, initially we didn't know what we had, that wasn't quite true. You did at least have an idea of what you thought you had. Correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
All right. You were aware initially that John O'Keefe had suffered a 2-inch laceration to the back of his head, correct?
Yes.
That resulted in a skull fracture, correct?
Correct.
He had a laceration over his right eye, small laceration just under the eyebrow, correct?
Yes.
Had a laceration on his nose. Is that right?
Correct.
He had patterned scratches on his right arm, abrasions, scratches, correct?
Yes.
And he had no injuries below the neck.
Not that I observed, sir.
Not a single broken bone, correct?
Not that I was aware of.
Not a single fracture, correct?
Not that I was aware of.
Not a single bruise below the neck, right?
Not that I observed.
Looks a lot like a physical altercation, doesn't it?
Objection.
Sustained.
He knows. This guy knows. Look at his head down in
Bird
shame.
writes,
Won't look Alan Jackson in the eyes. He knows. He knows. He's just towing the line.
Bear, let's focus, correct?
Yes.
Who's Bear?
That's another nickname I have.
How many nicknames does this guy have?
0095 writes, what does she waffled him mean? And then Bird writes, what's the story, correct?
Correct.
And you wrote,
Excuse me.
she hit him with her car. Is that right?
Yes.
Have you ever seen,
been
in your
great so
experience,
far.
have you
Thanks,
ever
Kate.
seen a pedestrian who's hit by a 6,000-pound car with no bruises? Ever.
Yeah. Can you answer that one, buddy? What do I say here?
The pedestrian strikes I've seen have been at high speeds,
And that's
60
enough.
plus.
A person on his shoe, right?
60 plus miles per hour. So I can't recall right now off the top of my head as far as injuries in the past pedestrian strikes I've attended.
Okay. So someone, you indicated on Monday under examination by Mr. Lally, you've seen a shoe missing,
Correct.
pedestrian strikes, correct?
Yes.
Those are high speed, extremely high speed incidents, correct?
Yes.
60 plus miles an hour, right?
I can't recall all the pedestrian strikes I've been to as far as the miles per hour the vehicle is traveling.
Trooper Proctor, let me ask you the question again. Have you ever, yes or no, have you ever in your experience seen a vehicle pedestrian incident in which the pedestrian has no bruises?
Objection.
Have you seen that?
I can't recall.
Okay, next question.
After you wrote, she hit him with her car, 5051 writes, oh, Jesus. And Bird writes, okay, that's fucked up, correct?
Correct.
And then you wrote what?
Intentional or not?
Intentional or not? Is that right?
Yes.
Your words.
Correct.
0095 then chimes in, gotcha. He was frozen in the driveway and she didn't see him? Question mark, correct?
Correct.
And you wrote what?
That's another animal we won't be able to prove.
That's another animal we won't be able to
He literally
prove.
just admitted. He literally just admitted that he would not be able to prove that Karen Reed did this if she did do it. But we know she didn't do it because the evidence is there to support 100% that Karen Reed is factually innocent. And this guy literally just said to his friends, that's another animal that we won't be able to prove. So now I have to play on with the narrative of the Commonwealth, the cover up. So what do we need to do? We need to start planning evidence. We need to start sprinkling around taillight. We need to smash the taillight completely inside the Sally port. This guy's a piece of shit.
Correct?
Total piece of
Correct.
shit.
Trooper Proctor, you knew that there were going to be things in this case, even 16 hours into this, that you just admitted you would have zero proof of, correct?
Objection. Here you go.
Sustained. You can ask it differently.
Did you mean by that statement that this was one of several things that you knew we would not be able to prove?
He's like, how
That
can we get out of
statement-
this?
That's another animal we won't be able to prove. References the intentional or not part.
You didn't care at that point when you wrote that. You didn't care what you could or could not prove, did you?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Isn't that what you meant?
No.
You had a narrative that you had developed, and you would pursue it no matter what the proof was. That's what you meant by that statement, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Below the law.
Did you mean by that? Thank you, Your Honor. I didn't mean to put stuff on your words. Did you mean by that statement that you were going to pursue this case no matter what the proof might be?
Right.
What I meant by that statement was if Miss Reed backed into Mr. O'Keefe intentionally or not.
Interestingly, though, that statement came on the heels of he was frozen in the driveway and she didn't see him. And you wrote in response to that question, that's another animal we won't be able to prove. Correct?
That's not what I was responding to. I was responding to the intentional or not part.
So you were responding to your own statement.
Correct.
Okay. 0095 then writes.
Yeah, I mean, it's all
what's the
right
name of the
here,
Canton
right?
cop
Billy?
living in Canton? The other one involved. Correct?
Yes.
In other words, that person was asking, tell me the name of the homeowner. Isn't that right?
Yes.
The guy that's the cop, right?
Correct.
And you ignored that question for a second time. Is that right?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, not one time, not once.
Yeah,
in this entire group
100%.
chat, did you disclose the name Brian Albert? Did you?
I don't believe so. No.
You were actively trying to hide.
They thought when they went to Karen to give her that 2 years, take the 2 years, this will all go away. They thought that she was going to take it and not back down. But when she stood there and said, why am I going to take a sentence for something that I didn't do? Fuck that. I'm fighting this all the way. And I would too. I 100% would too. I'm not going to take just a plea to get out, with pressure down my neck. That's something that I didn't do. I'm going to fight that all the way. And I think you're right. She thought that this would all go away. They thought this would all go away because Karen would just plea out and just be, out in 2 years and continue this cover up of the murder of John O'Keefe. All right, let's keep
Brian
playing.
Albert's name, at least from this conversation.
Objection.
I'll allow it. Is that what you were trying to do?
Absolutely not.
But you had no problem sharing John O'Keefe's name with your buddies from high school, right?
Correct.
And you had no problem sharing Karen Reed's name
Oops.
with your buddies from high school, correct?
What'd I do?
I don't believe I named the defendant.
Not yet, you didn't. Later in the chat.
Sorry, my camera just went out. Give me 2
Okay,
seconds.
correct.
We'll figure it out.
5051 then writes, the
figure it out.
BPD had any jurisdiction here because it was their own?
What'd I-
Question mark. Is that right?
Yes.
And a few texts later, if you
Here
look
we go.
down a few texts, about 11
There we
o'clock,
go.
you see a text that starts nah, cat.
Whoops. What'd I do?
I do so. Yes.
You responded, quote, nah, N-A-H, nah, cat, K-A-T-T. It's the total opposite. They have to recuse themselves. Same with Canton, correct?
That text ends as they have to recuse themselves.
You then text back, I'm sorry, can I have a moment?
Yes.
Flip the next page.
I see where you're at, sir.
How did you end that text?
Same with Canton.
Meaning Canton has to recuse itself also, correct?
Right.
That was my understanding.
So by 11 p.m. on January 29th, 2022, there was no question in your mind, Trooper Proctor, that the Canton Police Department was recused from this investigation in all particulars, correct?
That they had taken a step back from participating. Yes.
Right. Well, there's one way to put it. They've taken a step back from participating. Another way to put it is they recused themselves completely, correct?
Correct.
They were not going to be, at least in your mind, they were not to be involved in any way, just like Boston PD was not to be involved in any way. Is that right?
Objection.
Is that what you were thinking?
It was my understanding they were not going to be involved.
Why is she leading him?
Now,
Why is she always
if we can
leading
turn
him?
to page 2537. "5051 writes, but I assume you guys are out to make it cut and dry since
Greg's
it involves cops.
Greg
correct?
is here.
Yes.
And Bird writes, something stinks. Correct?
Correct.
And then Trooper Proctor, you responded, yeah, but there will be some serious charges brought on the girl. Isn't that right?
That's right.
So in that text exchange, you were saying, yeah, we're out to
Not
make it
gonna
cut and
stop.
dry. Correct?
No.
You didn't write, yeah, we're going to follow the evidence wherever it takes us. You didn't, did you?
I did not write that.
You didn't write, yeah, we're going to make sure that we investigate this thing fully and thoroughly before making any decisions. You didn't say that, did you?
I did not.
You wrote, yeah, but there will be some serious charges brought on the girl. Isn't that right?
Correct.
And the reason you wrote that is because you knew, as the text above it says, this has to be cut and dry because it involves cops, right?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that. Is that the reason you wrote it?
No, Your Honor.
And then you indicated, we're going to put serious charges on the girl. Who did you mean by the girl, by the way?
The defendant.
Karen Reed?
Yes, sir.
So the way that you were going to make it cut and dry, pretty simple. Just pin it on the girl, right?
Objection.
Yep.
Is that right?
Absolutely not. Follow the facts and the evidence from that
You're Karen.
day on the 29th.
Yannetti.
Everything led to Miss Reed hitting Mr. O'Keefe with her
Right.
vehicle.
That wasn't the question that you were answering, was it? We're going to follow the evidence and make sure we do this
Right.
thoroughly. The question you were answering was, I assume you guys,
If daggers could speak, right? Look at Karen's eyes. I mean, there's just daggers for that guy, and he deserves every bit of it, every single bit of the look that he's getting from Karen Reed right now. That fucker deserves it. He deserves it. Yannetti won't even look at him. Yannetti won't even look at him. And you know, this is just exposing a piece of trash right now, a garbage cop that faked his way through everything and probably talked tons of trash about multiple victims and witnesses. I mean, who else's phones was this guy looking through to see what he could look at, peering into people's private lives, and probably sending out nudes to his friends if he found them, or his superiors, right? I mean, like I said, this is not just behavior that happens in one case. This is a learned, applied behavior that has gone on through this guy's entire career.
Trooper Proctor, and your team are going to, quote, make it cut and dry since it involves cops, meaning Brian Albert, correct?
Incorrect. Doesn't matter to me if the
jury.
homeowner's a cop, if the victim's a police officer. Myself and everyone in my office investigated this case that Saturday, had an overwhelming amount of evidence that Miss Reed struck Mr. O'Keefe. So it didn't matter to us what their occupation was.
We'll see. Let's keep reading, shall we? 5051, a little further down, says, gotta be, I could only imagine what internal affairs at BPD are trying to get out there. Correct?
Correct.
Meaning, this person, 5051, was opining, at least in your mind, you interpreted that as being Boston police are going to have a lot to answer for, given the fact that another Boston police officer was found dead on that officer's lawn. Correct?
Objection.
What were you thinking?
I can't speak to the mindset to that comment. I wasn't sure how to interpret that one.
All right, next question, Mr. Jackson.
Then 5051 changes gears. And he writes, she hot at least? Correct?
Yes.
And what was your response to that?
So real quick, people are asking about the specific date. Trooper Proctor's disciplinary hearing, his misconduct and disciplinary hearing, is set for January 11th and February 10th. And that'll be at the Massachusetts State Police headquarters in Framingham. So it's 2 dates. I'm telling you, they're not going to make any fucking decision on the 15th. And they ain't going to make any decision on the fucking 10th, because they're going to have these two hearings. They're going to space them out. And then they're going to go, well, we've gathered all the evidence. We've heard from Trooper Proctor. We have to highly review all of this. And they're going to delay until after the trial, after Karen Reed 2.0. Mark my words. Mark my words. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to be this hearing on the 15th, then it's going to be February 10th. And then they're going to go, well, we're going to make this decision. You know, we're going to think about it. So, yeah, I'm looking at the article right now. Let me pull this up. says right here, according to I-Team sources, and I love don't you just love how they do all these drop downs and these fucking articles? Can't read anything, pop-ups everywhere. According to I-Team sources, Proctor's appointed trial board consists of a captain and 2 lieutenants on both sides, can call witnesses. According to the sources, the trial board will be held in Massachusetts State Police Headquarters in Framingham on January 15th and February 10th. Trial board is not open to the public. So unless something has changed since that article, but that is the date that the dates they are giving. All right, let's go back to testimony, and we're going to get into what Trooper Proctor called Karen Reed, that lovely 4-letter word that I don't like to use.
From all accounts, he didn't do a thing wrong. She's a whack job cunt.
From all accounts, he didn't do a thing wrong. She's a whack job cunt. That's what you wrote, correct?
Correct.
16 hours into this investigation.
Yes.
Into your objective and unbiased, thorough investigation, correct?
Correct.
But sir, you didn't have all accounts, did you?
What I meant by that was
Did you or did you not have all accounts in your investigation?
the accounts we had was Miss Reed struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle, discovered taillight pieces at the scene. Those are the accounts we had.
The accounts
And
you
then
had, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The accounts you had, Trooper Proctor, were from 2 people named McCabe and 1 named Albert, who happened to be the homeowner and a Boston cop.
I'm going to tell you right
Those
now.
are the accounts from recipient witnesses.
They're going to end up hiding this guy on a desk job somewhere. I guarantee you. He's going to be hired. He's going to be just stashed away on some desk job in fucking Alaska. You know, that's how they're going to keep this guy around.
That you had, correct?
There was another additional witness that we had investigators had interviewed, Miss Roberts as well.
And from all accounts, he didn't do a thing wrong. That was your decision 16 hours into the investigation, correct?
Yes.
And the other decision that you made and the other determination you came
Let's do a
to
poll.
was my client, Karen Reed, was a whack job cunt, right?
Yes.
So we got 500 people in the chat. Let's try to get to 500.
What else
likes.
did you say in response to, she's hot at least?
We're only at
Or she hot
284.
at
We can do
least,
better
question
than that.
So following that text, I responded, "Yep, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass."
Yeah, she's a babe. Who's the she?
Miss Reed.
Weird
Hold
Fall
the
River
top.
accent, though. You talking about her, the way she talks?
The accent.
And no ass. Now you're talking about her body or physique, correct?
Yes.
You think that's appropriate?
Absolutely not.
Then Bird chimes in with a little comedy. Not newsworthy then, correct?
Correct.
In other words, well, if she didn't have an ass,
If we get to 500 likes, I'll drop 5 free memberships. Let's get to 500 likes. We're at 316. We have well over just hit over 500 people in the chat. So all I need to do is the other 200. Just hit it. And I'll drop 5 free memberships in here.
nothing to see here, correct?
Objection.
Sustain.
And then 5051 says, oh, she's skating, right?
Correct.
And what did you write after that?
My response was
did it.
0
Thank you.
chance she skated.
And then what did you write?
She's fucked.
0 chance she skates. She's fucked, right?
Correct.
You decided on the 29th of January, 17 hours into this investigation, you decided individually, Trooper Proctor, you're not only going to put it on the girl, you decided you're going to make sure this is cut and dried, and the way you're going to do it is to make sure that she's fucked.
100%.
That's what you were saying.
Objection.
All right, so that's sustained. The content's fine. You have to ask it differently.
17 hours into this investigation, Trooper Proctor, you made the decision that you were going to put it on Miss Reed, didn't you? Put the case on Miss Reed. She was going to catch the case, correct?
No, absolutely not.
What did you mean then when you said she's fucked?
I like how
After the
that-
day's investigation with multiple troopers conducting multiple tasks and a debriefing at Canton PD amongst detectives in my office, we went through the overwhelming amount of evidence against Miss Reed that she struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle. That's what I meant by that comment.
No, you didn't, buddy.
What you meant by that comment, Trooper Proctor, was you were going to make sure because 5051 had said she's going to skate. She's skating. When you
Yeah.
said 0 chance she skates, she's fucked. What you meant was I'm going to make sure I am going to make sure Ms. Reed doesn't skate. She's fucked. That's what you meant.
Objection.
Sustained.
And then Bird decides to chime in. Good.
Thank
No
you
ass
so much,
bitch.
Noodles. I
Right?
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, that's what he wrote.
And how did you respond to Bird saying, good, no ass bitch?
I laughed.
Thought that was funny, did you? Trooper Proctor? Thought that was funny?
It was unprofessional of me. That's something I shouldn't have done.
Well, I think we all know it was unprofessional. There's a lot of things. I'm asking
Yep.
you, did you think it was funny?
Scumbag.
According to my response at the time, apparently.
Then you sent a picture just to add to it, to pile on, of Miss Reed being arrested, correct?
I don't.
Oh, excuse
I'm
me.
not sure if that came from me, sir.
Let's skip to
Commonwealth-
2543.
The Commonwealth might not, but I'm going to tell you right now, the defense is going to call him.
Are you there, Trooper Proctor?
Yes.
The date is now February 2nd, 2022. A person by the name of Doc writes, is
Look at
that
this.
chick a smoke? Correct?
Correct.
Who's the chick?
Miss Reed.
And you write, E-H, right?
Yes.
And then you write nutbag, as Chief would say, correct?
Correct.
Who's Chief?
A friend of mine.
And then you write what?
She's got a leaky balloon knot.
Trooper Proctor, explain to the jurors what a balloon knot is.
The most vile,
Your essentially, I guess, your rectum area.
vile.
Anus?
Yes.
That's what you're referring to about Miss Reed?
Yes.
And you were making fun of her because you believed at that time that it leaked? That's how you were treating Miss Reed? Yes or no?
Yes.
And then you followed that up just to make sure you cleared up any mistake about what you meant with leaks poo, correct?
Objection.
All right, so I'm going to strike that. You can get this in, but do it the right way, Mr. Jackson.
You followed that up with the phrase leaks poo, didn't you?
I did.
Again, another reference to Miss Reed's medical issues and medical conditions, correct?
Correct.
Specifically focused on her anus, correct?
In reference, yes.
That piece of testimony needs to be played over and over and over and over again. Anytime this guy goes for a job interview, anytime he steps out of his house, anytime that any employer is going to hire him as a consultant, let's just keep playing that testimony over and over and over again. You're going to trust this guy with someone's sensitive information? You've got to be fucking kidding me. Sensitive medical information. And this guy is talking about it with his buddies. A person that is involved in a case. That's what he's doing. And I'm telling you, people, this is not the only time. He's done it over and over and over again. Because this is just, again, not behavior that starts like that. It doesn't just turn on. This is a track record. And it's scary to think that it is a track record of this guy. All right, let's keep playing.
Were you aware at the time that you wrote this that Miss Reed had suffered a colectomy surgery, very serious surgery?
I was not, sir, no.
Were you aware that she had had 10 surgeries in 18 months, several years prior? 10.
I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that she had serious medical issues, gastrointestinal medical issues that she suffered with, she was a victim of?
How
for years?
embarrassing,
Do you know
too.
that?
Objection.
Have this come out
Sustained.
in court about to the world.
But you decided that you're going to take another shot at her and talk about her anatomy. 1 second, sir. Sorry. I'm sorry. You decided that you were going to take another shot at her and talk about her anatomy as a balloon knot, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
At this point, Trooper Proctor, Miss Reed was just reduced to a punchline to you, wasn't she?
Objection.
Sustained.
Well, you weren't done yet. This chat doesn't end yet, does it?
Yeah, good
No, sir.
point.
Let's skip to 2543.
Good point, Jen. Had to know something, right?
On the same day, February 2nd, 2022, about 4:15 p.m., a person by the name of Whitey wrote, "What are you guzzling on?" Correct?
Yes,
And you wrote nothing, writing a warrant. Is that right?
correct.
Bag.
Whitey then shares some sort of a video, correct?
Yes,
You remember that video being of the 1980s band Warrant?
I don't recall the video he sent.
0095 laughed and then wrote, "Wait, why does her asshole leak?" Correct?
Yes, that's what he wrote.
And then what did Doc write in response to that?
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained. I'll see it. Sidebar, take that down, please.
Yeah. Got to protect everybody, right, Bev? All right, let's speed up here for the interest of time. Back from sidebar.
Proctor, without getting to the specifics of the words used in the following, in the next exchange that you're looking at, it's fair to say that your high school buddies then continue to discuss Ms. Reed's medical issues, correct?
Objection.
That's sustained. Come on, Mr. Jackson. That isn't what you said you'd ask. Go ahead and ask the question you said you'd ask.
Was there a continued discussion that finished on this subject matter?
Yes,
On Monday, you indicated that your conduct in this case, and specifically your conduct as reflected in these messages, how did you put it? It did not affect the integrity of the investigation, of your investigation, correct? What you
Correct.
said to the jurors.
correct.
Do you know what the definition of
Let's get this in really quick. Curious Liz, thank you so much for the $5. Thanks for supporting the stream tonight. I appreciate it. Jen Altman in the chat. How you doing, Jen? Good to see you here. Curious Liz says, I hope Proctor's afterlife is a constant loop of AJ grilling him on the stand, except Karen Reed would be the judge and allow AJ to say whatever. Right there, you, ma'am, have won the internet. I love that super chat, and I love that idea. And I think everybody inside this chat room right now can 100% agree. I don't even want to take this down. I love this so much. That is brilliant. I love it, love it, love it. Someone needs to screenshot this and send it to Karen Reed herself. I love this super chat. I think I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to mark my words right now. I'm telling you, ever since I started following the Karen Reed case, talking about this case, I have to say this is literally the best super chat that has ever come through. Just the context of this super chat is amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing. And I need to screenshot this and send this out because it is brilliant. It is brilliant. I love this so much. And I can never forget that. That is the best, the best. I love it. All right, let's continue on here. I got one more. Sue just came up with $2 and said $2. Proctor sucks. Free Karen Reed. Thank you. I love that. That's another great one too. Jen says, let's see. Hopefully it's not like last year's fake attorney stuff happened. Okay, let's go.
integrity is?
A little bit here.
Doing the right thing when no one's looking.
Means the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you believe that integrity means being honest and having strong moral principles?
I believe that's part of it as well.
Do you stand by that testimony that you were showing strong moral principles in this investigation, sir?
In the investigation part, absolutely. Through these text messages, absolutely not. They were juvenile and regrettable.
Yeah, right, buddy.
When you say they're juvenile and regrettable, it sounds like you're almost apologizing to the jury for your conduct. Is that what you're doing?
For those texts,
Objection.
Sustained.
Trooper Proctor, have you ever apologized to Ms. Reed?
Objection.
Sustained.
as the lead investigator in this case, you were tasked with the responsibility of making sure that the investigation remained free of any conflicts of interest. It's part of your job, correct?
Correct.
Throughout the pendency of this investigation, in this case, you've denied having any conflict of interest in this case. Isn't that right?
Correct.
In fact, a couple of months ago in February of 2024, you testified in a different proceeding. Is that right?
Yes.
And you testified under oath in that proceeding on February 1st that you did not know any members of the Albert family or McCabe family, correct?
Certain members of the Albert family I did not know. I know Chris and Julie and Colin. I don't know the McCabe's.
That wasn't my question.
All right.
Did you testify? Let's take them one at a time. Did you testify under oath, same oath you took here today, in a former proceeding in February of 2024, that you did not know and did not have any relationship with members of the Albert and McCabe families? Did you?
I haven't had a chance to review those minutes. I've only had one opportunity to, and that was a couple months ago. So I would want to review those minutes in order to answer that accurately.
You can't remember how you testified, whether or not you knew or had relationships with the Alberts and McCabes?
Objection.
Sustained.
As you sit here right now, you need to refresh your recollection. You can't remember what you said.
Objection.
Do you remember what you said?
During that proceeding, no.
Do we get to
With refresh your
500 likes
recollection, you
yet?
took a look at those grand jury minutes.
Yes.
Let's see.
What page,
We're
Mr.
at
Jackson?
440.
This is page 01.
60 more likes and I'll drop 5 free memberships. 1 month on me to join the membership, the Go Squad crew. All right, let's keep going.
563.
Get there. 500 likes. We got to do it.
If I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
If you'd review that and look up when you're finished.
After this live, Turtle Boy will be live at 9 p.m. Make sure to go over and check out Aiden tonight. It's a Saturday night. He starts at 9 p.m. And I'm going to try to finish up as close to 9 o'clock as I can. And I'll drop the link to his show, and you guys can go over and hang out with Aiden. And Reed, Nathan Reed. Oh, Nathan, you missed it. You missed it. I got to pull this super chat up. Nathan Reed here in the chat says, hi to all supporting Karen. Much appreciated. Nathan, look at, I don't know if you saw this super chat. This is the best super chat that I have ever received following the Karen Reed case. Ready? Check this out. So Curious Liz super chat $5 and says, I hope Proctor's afterlife is a constant loop of AJ grilling him on the stand, except Karen would be the judge and allowing AJ to say whatever. I absolutely love that super chat, and the context alone is just I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Screenshot that, show Karen. I'm sure she's gonna love it. I'm sure she's gonna love that. All right, let's keep playing through here of piece of shit Trooper Proctor. Nathan agrees. Curious Liz, epic and well said.
There you are.
As I said, I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it.
Did that refresh your recollection, a question and answer that you had, or series of questions and answers that you had while you were testifying under oath in that other proceeding?
Yes, sir.
Objection. May we approach?
Yes.
All right, we're going to speed this up for
Thank you.
time. Here we go.
You were asked the question, quote, did you communicate with First Assistant DA Beeland that you did not know and had no relationship with the Albert and McCabe families? And you answered, quote, to the best of my recollection, the same conversation took place with everyone I talked to about this, because it's the same answer. It's the facts that I shared with everyone. Question, meaning you told First Assistant Beeland that you didn't know, didn't have a relationships with
Objection, Your Honor.
members of the Albert and McCabe families. Answer, correct.
Yes, that's
So,
correct.
so your question is whether he said this?
Correct. Whether that's his testimony. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And that's your testimony that you, in fact, told members of the DA's office that you did not know and did not have a relationship with the Alberts or McCabe's. Is that right?
I did not know the McCabe's. I don't know most of the Alberts, and I have little to no relationship with Chris and Julie. So that's what I meant by that answer.
Well, the question wasn't, did you know most of the Alberts? The question was, did you have a relationship with, or did you know the Alberts? And your answer was, No.
No, I don't have a relationship with the Alberts.
Or know them.
I don't know the McCabe's. I don't have a relationship with the Alberts.
So you do
Who
know
asked-
the Alberts.
Yeah.
Correct?
Lie. Right, Jen.
I know some of them, Julie and Chris.
And Colin, correct?
Correct, and Colin.
And you knew the Alberts.
So you
when
know
gave this
them.
testimony in February of 2024. Is that right?
Yeah, they asked if there was any relationships.
And let's try this again.
Yeah, right. Let's try it
Meaning
again.
You told First Assistant Beeland that you didn't have relationship.
7 more likes, and I will drop 5 free memberships, 1 month on me to the Ghost Squad crew. We need 6 more. Let's go. 6 more.
Relationships with members of the Alberts and members of the Albert and McCabe families. Answer: correct.
Mhm.
Was that ambiguous in your mind?
The way I interpreted relationships was basically being like friends or
All right, we
know,
got it. Drop it.
communications, frequent
Incoming.
communications.
Five
That's how I
incoming.
interpret it.
Well, that
Make
might
it
be a
done.
good time to pipe up and say, well, I know Chris and I know Julie and I know Colin, correct?
There you
Objection.
go.
Sustained.
That
Welcome,
might
new
have been a
members.
good time to answer the question. I know these 3 individuals from the Albert family.
Here you
right?
go.
Objection.
1 free
Sustained.
month on me.
But your
5
answer
new
was
members.
one word, correct, right?
Yes.
You further testified that you never have gone to any supervisor at Massachusetts State Police to disclose even a potential conflict of interest in this case that you might have, correct?
Correct.
And you indicated the needs never come up. Is that right?
Correct.
You also told ADA Lally that you, quote, did not have relationships or know members of the Albert or McCabe
Oh, you're
families,
welcome, Mary.
correct?
Welcome
Correct.
in.
And that's just not true, is it? You did know, you do know members of the Albert family. Isn't that right?
It's different from having a relationship with people.
But what about part of the question? Did not have relationships or know members of the Albert or McCabe families?
Right.
That part of the question.
Well, that's lumped in with the McCabe's. I don't know the McCabe family, sir.
I see. So what you did, Trooper Proctor, is you dissected the sentence.
Right.
And where relationships are concerned, you ignored that in terms of the Alberts because you don't have relationships. Where no is concerned, you link that to the McCabe's because you don't know the McCabe's. That's what you did?
No.
Objection.
So it's sustained. You can ask it. You can break it down, Mr. Jackson.
Not sure I can.
All
ask it a
right,
different way.
Grandma. Such lies.
How about if I just ask it this way?
Trash.
That was a lie, wasn't it?
No, absolutely not.
You stand by that testimony?
Yes.
That you don't know at the time that you testified, that you didn't know the Alberts or any members of the Albert family?
They don't have relationships with them.
Okay. My question is, you keep going back to relationships. I'm asking you, did you testify that you didn't know them?
Objection.
I'll let him have it. Do you understand the question, Trooper?
I knew Chris,
You're
Julie, and
welcome.
Colin.
Enjoy.
So if you were to say, I don't know any members of the Albert family, that would have been a lie, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Your Honor, this is the point at which I intend to turn to tab 3 and I believe we need to approach.
Jurors, feel free to stand.
So we're gonna leave a little time here. Let's see. Here we go. Back to testimony. Alan Jackson back. Excuse me. Lay it in thick, Jackson. Let's go.
Trooper Proctor, you've indicated that your sister is one of your best friends, maybe your best friend.
Yes.
Courtney Proctor, that's your name? Courtney
Correct.
Proctor, Elberg?
That- I'm sorry?
Her last name?
Elberg.
Elberg with an L. And you're aware that she is also very, very good friends with Jillian Daniels, Julie Albert.
Correct.
Are you aware of any circumstance in which any of the Alberts have been over to your parents' house?
Yes.
Have you ever been over to your parents' house when any of the Alberts have been at your parents' house?
Yes.
Those Alberts include Chris Albert, Julie Albert, Colin Albert, correct?
Correct.
Matter of fact, you were on or around January 29th, 2022. You were close.
Just want to share something here. I just got some notification because I know a lot of people have been wondering. Obviously, Alan Jackson and most of his team is out from California, but everybody is safe and sound. So I just want to let everybody know that. So really good update because I've been thinking about that all day. And I just asked, I said, is Jackson okay? And everybody is safe and sound. So that's really good to hear. Very, very good to hear.
Close enough friends with Julie Albert that she had your personal cell phone in her cell phone, correct? And vice versa.
I wouldn't classify us as close friends at all.
Okay, let me get back to my question. Did you have her cell phone in your phone, and did she have yours?
I can't recall if I believe I had her stored in my phone.
So tab 4. All right. If you would turn to tab 4,
And what was this marked for ID?
this was.
Will tell me the numbers at the bottom.
Oh, I've got the sheet right here. I've got a cheat sheet. Tab 4 is triple B, as in Bravo. And Your Honor, for the court, I'm looking at page 26.
Yes, everybody is good. Everybody is good, Robin.
Yes, sir.
Do you
Yes.
recognize the participants in this chat?
I do.
The number ending in 5374, you recognize it as being from Julie Albert?
Based off the content of the message, yeah, I recognize this text message from Julie.
And she texts, "This is the weekend I've been waiting for. Michael, please send ski videos if CP doesn't share with me," with a laughing face, correct?
Correct.
That text was sent on February 24th, 2022, wasn't it?
Yes,
That was less than a month after Mr. O'Keefe's death, isn't that right?
correct.
And less than a month after you had been assigned to the investigation in which Julie Albert was a witness, correct?
Correct.
And her husband, Chris Albert, was a witness, correct?
Correct.
And her son, you knew, Colin, was involved as well,
Right.
correct?
Yes.
Who is CP in that text message?
It's a nickname I have for my sister.
Courtney Proctor, correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, if I may have just a moment.
Okay.
Zoom tight.
Curious Liz, thank you so much for becoming a new member. The memberships definitely help support the channel. Thank you so much. Not that anything doesn't help, but the everything helps supports the channel. Thank you so much. It keeps the lights on here in the studio.
Proctor to tab 5.
Thank
please.
you.
That's triple C.
And just to remind everybody, on Tuesday, 7 p.m., Tuesday at 7 p.m., I'm going to have Juna Perkins live here in studio with me. And if anybody doesn't know who that is, she is a young lady that's going to be challenging Michael Morsi for Norfolk DA. And what I'd love to do, and I think I'm going to do this via my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter accounts. I'm going to have a senior moment here. I might ask you all some questions. What would, if you were sitting here with Juna to ask her question, I'm gonna have everybody with the questions out there, and I'll pick maybe like 10 of them from the audience, and we'll ask her when she's here. So I want to know about her, her political background, what got her involved in politics. I want to know how she's going to actually challenge Michael Morsi and what she's going to do to clean up Norfolk County. So what we'll do is I'll ask everybody probably on Monday. I'll put the poll out there and say, hey, drop your comment below. Let's see what kind of questions you have for her, and I'll bring maybe 10 of them up. She can go through them. Sarah D, thank you so much for the 1 gifted membership. Enjoy that membership on Sarah D. All right, couple more minutes here. I want to close out before Turtle Boy at 9 o'clock, and then I'll drop his link and go over, and you guys can check him out at 9 o'clock. And then I got some cleaning up that I'm going to be doing here in the studio, preparing for Juna. I'm going to be actually redesigning my studio room. I haven't really been happy with it. I know the background's going to change at some point too, but over the next week or two, we're going to be redesigning in here. I just don't like the way that it is set up, and I think there's a more efficient way that I can do that. So we'll be working on it. But anyway, let's get back to testimony, and then Turtle Boy at 9 o'clock. Let's go. Thank you, Sarah. That was really nice.
Yes.
Thank you, T. Wade.
And this would be page
Thought this would be a great
64.
part 2 to last night.
Return
We
to that
talked a
page,
lot
please.
about Trooper Proctor last night in Brian Walsh's case.
Okay.
And if you didn't go back and watch that, go back and watch that stream from last night. It was really, really good. Had a lot of good, positive comments on that stream. So, all right, let's keep going.
Trooper Proctor, on January 19th, 2022, 10 days before Mr. O'Keefe's death, you were texting with your sister about whether Julie Albert might be available to babysit for your own son, correct?
Yes.
So in fact, your relationship with the Alberts
Always working,
was
Scott.
close enough that you would consider leaving your own.
I definitely am I am definitely a piece of work. I'm definitely a piece of work. Let's see. Can I put my buy me a coffee link? I sure can. Let's see. I'll drop that in the chat. There's many, many ways to donate to the channel. It helps out. Definitely helps out. That should come up there. Let's see if that link comes up. If it doesn't, I can drop it. And yeah, there you go. You can click on that link there if you want to buy me a coffee. Let me get to the super chat. Boston Brandy, $20. Thank you so much. Says, dear Michael Proctor, this girl is not fucked. Sincerely, the rest of the world. Hashtag free Karen Reed, and we will never quit. And I love that attitude. Thank you. Peaches, thank you for gifting one membership. Welcome to the Ghost Squad crew. And you have one free month member. You get access to all the members only content that's on my homepage and my members only lives. You can just go right there and click down on my homepage, scroll all the way to the bottom. All my members only content's there. And when I have members only lives, I try to do them like once every week or 2 weeks. And those are fun because they're more just down and we kind of let our hair. Well, I don't have any hair, but we let our hair down. Actually, I'm trying to actively, I might grow my hair back out. I'm working on it. But we just kind of just relax and hang out, and it's fun. It's fun. My Ghost Squad members know. All right, let's get through this testimony.
Child in the hands of Julie Albert as a babysitter, as a caregiver for your toddler, correct?
I wouldn't say close enough. I've hired babysitters that I've had out, but I don't know.
But Julie Albert was among them. Correct?
Yes, she was an option to watch my child.
And then you personally interviewed Julie Albert and Chris Albert in this case on February 10th,
You didn't know,
2022.
Sergeant Buchanan and I did, yes.
And you didn't mention a thing about your relationship with
Right.
Julie Albert, Chris Albert, or Colin Albert
Because you're a dirty cop,
report.
scumbag.
ever drafted in this case, did you?
I did not.
Not one word, correct?
No, sir.
You interviewed Julie and Chris Albert at about 5:30 p.m. on the 10th of February, isn't that right?
Yes.
Did either of them, Julie or Chris Albert, mention that their son Colin Albert had been at 34 Fairview Road on the night in question, January 29th?
I'd have to reread the report to refresh my memory on their statements.
Well, let me ask it a different way. If I may have some. Yes.
I love it. I love the nevers. Never. I love it. That's awesome. Now let's get to 1,000, right? Yeah, I think
on October 12th, 2022, correct?
I think memberships, you have to be on a laptop. You do. You have to be on a desktop or a laptop to do that. Yeah, I think so. I'm almost 100% sure you have to.
For which,
Concerning your interview with. Why don't you show it?
Oh, excuse
I
me.
had the wrong report.
Or what you can do is I think you can pull it up on your, get out of the app and then pull it up on your Google tab and then sign into your YouTube that way. And I think you can do it that way. I think I'm right about that. Someone can maybe help me out in the chat. Oh gosh, hiccuping bad. Sorry. Love this. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, that's what I was just saying, Bo.
Do you recall
Open the
Trooper
browser on
Proctor
your phone. Yeah.
ever mentioning that whether or not Julie and Chris mentioned to you that their son had been at 34 Fairview on January 29th? Do you recall that as you
Yeah,
sit
you
here?
gift them.
to the best of my recollection, no.
It was a very short interview with Julie and Chris, was it not?
It was typical length for the information they had to offer.
So you started the interview about 5:30 p.m. It must have been relatively short because you received a phone call by 6:17 from Julie Albert herself, correct?
I don't have the call detail record in front of me,
Captain
but
Trip, thanks for the $2.
okay. Yes.
Let's look at tab 6, please.
Cindy, thank you so much for the 10 coffees. 10 coffees
May not be
on
in your
Buy
book.
Me a Coffee. She says, we'll always support you. I may not be on much because of the hours I work, but that's okay, Cindy. I know who you are. You've been on this channel and in this chat for a very, very long time. I appreciate your support. I think we go back almost probably close to 3 years now. 3 years now I've seen your chat name in here, and that means a lot to me. It really does. You know, people that hang in that long, they come here for the vested interest of you and what you give back to this YouTube space and the world. And that really means a lot that you've stuck around. And we've been through a lot of ups and downs on this channel. And, you know, like I said, I always say I really thoroughly enjoy doing this. It's a complete passion of mine. And I'm hoping that, you know, someday I can do this as my solo career. You got to start somewhere. And we've come such a long way in such a short amount of time. And I say we because of the audience and the subscribers, the members that come to this channel. It takes a team of people to do this. And I all consider you my team. I consider you my friends, my members, my subscribers. It's been awesome. It really has. And I hope to continue to do this for the rest of my life because it's what I really love doing. I really do. And who knows, you know, like the format may change someday. I don't know, but I'm just waking up every day. I'm listening to the universe, and the universe is saying, do this right now. And I've been blessed, so blessed to meet so many awesome people through this entire process. I would have never thought that it would have been like this. And we're just scratching the surface, and we have such a long way to go. But I firmly believe, I do 100%. And I think Howie Carr said it 100% correctly in his article the other day. In 2025, Karen Reed will be acquitted. Will be acquitted. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, fair enough.
Peach is 1 month member. Thank you so much. Says, we love you, Brian. So happy you're back. Well, it's good to be back. I really love being here.
You indicated that you might need to look at a phone record or a phone log to determine whether or not that call was made and what time it was made, correct?
If you have that,
May I
please.
approach, John?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way,
Highlighted portion of the project.
Thursday night, this upcoming Thursday night, I will have Todd McGee back on live on the show. And we're going to talk a lot about Trooper Enrique Delgado Garcia. I'm sure we'll get into some Karen Reed stuff as well. And Trooper Michael Proctor, because let's see, his hearing's on the 15th. Oh, and how ironic. He'll be on Wednesday will be Trooper Proctor's first hearing. Hopefully we have some news about that, and then we'll probably talk about that on Thursday night show as well too. So retired Mass State Police, Todd McGee will live on the show on Thursday night, 7:15 p.m. I hope you guys all can make it. Carol says, great show, Brian. Thank you. Member for 6 months. Go Squad member for 6 months. I appreciate that. All right, let's try to wrap this up before Turtle Boy. He starts at 9 o'clock. And again, this has been a super fun, spontaneous Saturday night. I'm glad that everybody could jump in here with me and hang out and just show the world how much Trooper Proctor is a piece of trash. Let's go.
Focus your attention on that and let me know if that refreshes your reflection.
It does, sir. Thank you.
May I approach?
Yes.
You received after your interview, you received a phone call from Julie Albert about 6:17.
Thank you, Katie.
About
Smash
45
that
minutes
like
after you
button if
began
you
the
just came
interview
in.
and then left, correct?
Yes.
6:21, you called her back and you spoke for 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you discuss the interview?
I don't recall the content of that conversation.
And of course, you never memorialized that in any report, did you? The fact that you had a subsequent phone call with Julie Albert on your personal cell phone.
I did not.
Let's turn to tab 5 one more time. If you could turn to page 2677. Trooper Proctor, after your interview with Julie Albert, your sister, Courtney, texted you, how did it go at Julie's? She was so nervous. You recall that?
Yes.
In fact, you responded to that with a ha, 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 ha. 4 ha's, right? And then why? Question mark, correct?
Correct.
And real quick, I just want to drop this in the chat too. If anybody is interested in kind of what I've been doing to source information in Trooper Delgado Garcia's case, I'm going to drop the Google Sheets link there. You can click on that link, add it to your tab, and then you can go back and reference it. And it's going to be a rolling Google document, and we're going to go over a lot of that with Todd McGee on Thursday night. And I'm really excited because I've just gotten some new information that I've added to the document about the conversation that the family had with Mass State Police regarding the video. We now know it is a security video. It is now a security video. It's not a cell phone video. It is a security video. And I'm really curious to find out, maybe Todd McGee knows where these security cameras would be. And I want to talk about that on Thursday. Em, thank you so much for the super sticker, $10. But please check out that Google Sheets. I have all my source information there regarding Trooper Delgado Garcia. And you can just, again, save it to your tab. You can keep referencing it. It will be a ongoing rolling Google Sheets. And also, I just went up the other night. The new billboard is up just on the opposite side next to Foxborough Stadium. And it's actually near the Dunkin' Donuts that's just before the stadium, but it's on the southbound side. And I love it because it's just a stone's throw away from the Foxborough State Police Trooper Barracks. So they have to see that every single time they drive by, and it will run all the way up until, I believe, February 4th. And if we want to keep it going, I'm going to have to do probably some crowdfunding, but maybe we'll think of some alternatives. I have no idea, but I'd love to keep that going. But please stop by, check it out, take a photo of it, send it to me, post it on X, tag me in it. I want to see everybody out there. And I'm planning on doing another standout near the new sign in the very near future. All right, let's keep going here.
Then you responded, it was fine. Just a quick convo, correct?
Yes.
You were literally reporting back to your sister about the progress of your investigation in a homicide investigation, weren't you?
Objection.
Sustained. You can ask it differently.
Were you reporting your progress to your sister about your investigation?
Objection.
Sustained.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to speed this up for the interest of time.
They're indicating Julie was nervous.
All right, let's go back.
Thank you. Were you
we go.
reporting your progress of your investigation back to your sister, Courtney Proctor?
No, absolutely not.
But you did say that the conversation, the formal interview went fine. It was just a quick convo, correct?
In response to my sister indicating Julie was nervous. That's why I
So here's
told her
the
it was
funny
fine.
thing. So now I'm going to pause it again. I'm going to let BNJR know this. This is my show, okay? I have control, okay? And I will do what I want, and I will talk about what I want here on my show, and I will talk about it with the video paused because I want people to hear the audio when it's playing, and I try not to talk over it. But when I have spontaneous information that comes into my brain, I want to let the people know that want to be here to understand that and give them information back. So I will pause the video and talk about what's in my head. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. You don't have to subscribe here. You can go watch 18 million other shows on YouTube. But right now, in this very moment, this is my show. And I will pause and inform my audience, my subscribers, my friends, my Go Squad members of things that come into my head that I want to talk about. So, all right, let's keep going here.
Trooper Proctor, Julie and Chris Albert were not actually treated like witnesses.
You don't want to listen
in
to
a murder
me.
investigation.
Pull the
They were
video
treated
up,
more like
watch
friends.
it on
Would you
your
agree?
own.
Objection.
That's why
Is that
people
true?
come here.
Absolutely not.
They want my commentary. They want my point of view, and they want my insight. And they want to come in here and have some entertainment as well, too. And that's what we do in this chat. It's a very, very interactive chat. I like to interact with my audience. I love to hear the feedback that they give me. And but listen, it's my show, dude. It's my show, or ma'am, whoever it is, whatever. But let's go.
We've established that you're very close with your sister, Courtney, correct?
Correct.
You provided your sister with updates on important advancements during the course of your investigation into this case. Did you not periodically?
I made her aware of newsworthy stuff.
That started as early as January 29th, 2022. Isn't that right?
Don't know the exact date or content.
Well, the day of the incident, you began letting her know that you were involved, that you had been assigned, what the status was,
Yes.
the nature of the case. That
Correct.
it was a homicide, correct?
Yes.
Amanda, yes. Right?
Matter of fact, you discussed who the players were, who the people were that were involved. Isn't that right?
I just mentioned Julie and Chris were out earlier in the evening.
So you mentioned
Right back.
the Alberts, correct?
Julie and Chris, yes.
You also mentioned the McCabe's too, didn't you? At some point.
Yes.
Yeah. At 2668, Your Honor, that's the page that I'm referring to. Okay. This one. You write homicide, correct?
So I said 2668.
Correct. I have my page number correct.
Right,
You're on the
Debbie.
right page.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
You wrote the word homicide. Is that right?
Yes,
You were describing to your sister the nature of the case that you are now assigned. Is that right?
correct.
She wrote the Canton thing is a homicide, and you wrote don't say a word to anyone. Correct?
Correct.
And then she wrote of course not. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you wrote what?
In the very least, it's suspicious.
In the very least, it's suspicious. Correct?
Correct.
So at that time, at least at the time that you wrote that text on the 29th at 3:05 in the afternoon, you believed that the case was suspicious, right?
It was before we found significant pieces of evidence.
So you believed that it was suspicious that it may involve the Alberts, right?
Absolutely not.
Dun dun dun. Exactly.
She then writes, this is your livelihood, didn't she?
She did.
Meaning this kind of case could make or it could break your career, right?
Objection.
Thank you, June.
She then wrote, I would never mess with that. Is that right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Your sister, Trooper Proctor, was warning you that you shouldn't be investigating a case in which close friends or family members were involved.
Objection.
Did you take her text? This is your livelihood. I would never mess with that as a warning from her that you shouldn't be investigating a case that involved close friends.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Absolutely not. That was in response to don't say a word to anyone. And that was how I interpreted this is your livelihood. I would never mess with that.
A couple of minutes later, 3:07 on January 29th, you told your sister, quote, Julie and Chris were at the bar with the victim and girlfriend. Got to interview them. Is that right?
Yes.
So you were telling Courtney, your sister, updates on what your investigation advancements were, correct? Who
Just
you're gonna
that part.
interview, why you're going to interview him.
Yes.
She wrote, you got to be kidding me, correct?
Correct.
Did you take that as you got
Ashby, thank you so much for the 3 coffees. The 3 coffees. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
to be kidding me? The Alberts are involved?
No, absolutely not.
And then you wrote, it's not a big deal, correct?
Correct.
And then she wrote, I bet I know the person. Sounds like it is, meaning it is a big deal, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what she meant with those messages there.
But she did write, I bet I know the person, didn't she?
She did write that, yes.
And you know she's very close with the Alberts, correct?
And she's close with Julie and Chris.
You then wrote, no, I meant, or you wrote not. I think you meant no. I meant that they were at the bar with them, correct?
Yes.
She writes, yeah, I got that part. And then she continues on, but I know a lot of their friends, correct?
Yes.
Did you see a problem in this exchange?
Yeah, right?
Nothing jumped out at me.
Your sister's literally explaining that your family friends are suspects or possible suspects in a murder investigation
Yeah.
that you're in charge of. Correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Always looking down, won't look
On
AJ
January
in
30th,
the eye.
2022 at 9:13 in the morning, your sister texted you again, quote, Jesus Christ. The party was at one of the Alberts, correct?
Yes.
And you two were discussing the fact that, to put it in her words, Jesus Christ, these are our friends, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
How did you take
Right.
for Jesus Christ, the party was at one of the Alberts with 2 exclamation points? How did you take that?
That's the way I'm interpreting my sister's text messages was that surprised and shocked that this is where Mr. O'Keefe was found on the front lawn of that residence.
Could it be, Jesus Christ, we know these people?
Lacey, thank you for the 1 gifted membership.
Again, that's how I read that
Very
message.
sweet of you. Thank you.
You don't deny, Trooper Proctor, that you were routinely disclosing to your sister pretty intimate details about the investigation.
Yeah, guilty people look down. They don't look people in the eyes. Guilty people will not look someone in the eyes. They will always deter from looking someone in the eyes. They will shy away. This guy knows he's a piece of shit.
Correct?
I wouldn't say intimate. I'd say newsworthy stuff or just generic, nothing
Well,
too specific.
newsworthy, would you have gone to the news at this point in the investigation? Would you have gone to the news and said, Julie and Chris were at the bar. I got to go and I got to go interview.
Objection.
Allow that. Is that what you do, Trooper?
No, I would not do that, sir.
So it's not newsworthy. These were details, internal details about the investigation, weren't they?
Yes,
And you were sharing them with your sister, Courtney Proctor.
Yeah.
correct?
correct.
Right.
And Courtney Proctor's best friend is Jillian Daniels, and one of her closest friends is
There's
Julie
the
Albert,
connection,
right?
buddy.
Correct.
Then on February 1st, 2022, your sister texts you that she's actually meeting with Julie Albert, didn't she?
Yes,
And that was before you ever interviewed Julie, correct?
yes,
So it appears that Courtney was providing information to Julie of some sort before you were able to actually interview her. Is that right?
Objection.
Sustained.
She was, well, let me ask it this way. You don't deny that Courtney was meeting with Julie before you interviewed her, correct?
correct.
And you don't deny that you had been providing information about the case with Courtney before you interviewed Julie, correct?
Provided information that Julie and Chris were at the waterfall and I needed to interview them. Yes, that's the information I shared.
And who knows what you shared verbally,
Right.
not in text messages, correct?
Objection.
Did you, we have text messages, Mr. Proctor. Did you share other information on phone calls with Courtney?
No,
So the only information we're to believe, you talk to her 5 to 6 times a day. The only information that you claim you shared with Courtney about the details of the investigation are contained in these texts which we have.
Objection.
I'll let you answer that. Can you answer that?
Oh, no, I didn't.
the information that I share with my sister contained within these texts. Yes,
You never discussed this case verbally, over the phone or in person with Courtney.
on the phone. I'm sure there's been conversations. That's
Yeah, I am back.
things that have been newsworthy items that have gone to the news. There's definitely been conversations in that regard.
Then before you ever interviewed Julie, your sister informed you that Julie actually wanted to get you a gift for your participation on.
And you gotta realize inside his head, he doesn't think any of this is wrong. He doesn't think any of this is wrong. You gotta tell me that he didn't walk out of that courtroom. He's like, fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Let him read my fucking text messages. I meant every fucking word of it. You know he was like that when he got in the car. You know he was. Fuck these people. Fuck them. Let him read my text messages. Fuck them. I meant every fucking word. Every fucking word I said. Who cares? Fuck her. Fuck him. Blah, blah, blah. You know he was. He doesn't give a shit.
On this case, correct?
Yes,
In tab 5, let's turn to page 2672, Trooper Proctor. With court's permission, may we publish?
Yes.
Page 2672.
Believe me, that wasn't a quiet ride home that day. He was probably
See
like,
the text
fuck
from you,
them and
what's
fuck
up?
AJ and
Yes.
fuck Karen's team. You know he was.
And what's Courtney Proctor's response?
nothing. I just saw
He got
Julie,
nothing.
and she said, when this is all over, she wants to get you a thank you gift.
Oh, look at that.
And I respond with, get Elizabeth one.
Hang on just a second. Let's take them one at a time. You were asked about this on direct examination by Mr. Lally, right?
Correct.
And you looked at the jurors, paused, and said, I never asked for a gift. I never received a gift. Elizabeth never asked for a gift. She never received a gift. You remember that?
Correct.
You said you never asked for a gift, correct?
Correct.
What's your next text?
Get Elizabeth one,
Get Elizabeth one what?
Yeah. What?
referring to a gift
Why?
So you did, in fact, ask for a gift, didn't you?
from my wife who had been home with my children for the last 10 nights.
From Julie Albert
Yes.
for your participation on this case.
I don't know if that's yes.
That's right.
Well, Courtney Proctor answers that question by saying, because I guess her and Chris were friends and John, and she's so proud of you for leading this investigation, correct?
Correct.
You're aware during the course of your investigation, well, let me ask it this way. Let me ask a foundational question. Do you pull phone records as a matter of course in investigations of this nature?
Yes.
Did you pull phone records in this case, variously?
The phone records of
Of anybody? Witnesses, suspects,
not witnesses, Mr.
official people, whatever?
We didn't pull full phone records of witnesses.
And Nathan Reed.
Victim?
Victim and Miss Reed.
During the course of your investigation, did you become aware that there were 67 calls between Julie Albert and your sister, Courtney, in the months following John O'Keefe's death?
Objection.
I'm going to sustain that.
Did you become aware during the course of your investigation of the level of communication between Julie Albert, one of the witnesses on the case, and your sister?
Objection.
I'm sustaining that objection. You can come try and convince me otherwise if you want, Mr. Jackson.
I can ask it a different way, Your Honor. Thank you. Did you ever seek information about phone calls and communications that Julie Albert may or may not have been having with anybody else?
No.
Didn't download her phone, didn't see her phone records.
No.
Did Courtney ever tell you that she had consistent communication?
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Or did you know that otherwise?
Objection.
During the months, let me ask it this way. During the months following John O'Keefe's death, you did continue to have consistent communications with Courtney, though, didn't you?
Yes, I speak to my sister every day.
Trooper Proctor, were you using Courtney, your sister, as an intermediary between you and Julie Albert?
Absolutely not.
You were well aware from the very beginning of your investigation that Colin Albert was, in fact, at 34 Fairview on the night in question, right?
Yes.
Matter of fact, you testified at the grand jury, the state court grand jury on this case, that you knew that Colin Albert was at the location, right?
Yes.
Did you make any concerted efforts to keep Colin Albert's name out of this investigation?
No.
Why is it, Trooper Proctor, that Colin Albert's name fails to appear in a single police report until July 18, 2023?
Colin Albert was not at the home. He left at approximately 12:10 a.m. before anyone from the waterfall had arrived back there.
Let's look at, obviously, part of the job of an investigator is to be as complete and thorough as possible, correct?
Yes.
You don't just take someone's word for something. You look for corroborating evidence, don't you?
Yes.
Matter of fact, you wouldn't take a witness's word for almost anything in a reasonable investigation, would you?
Objection.
Would you?
If-
You can have that.
If I find that witness to be credible and have no reason to lie, then yes, I would take their word.
Would you try to support a witness's statement or witnesses with an apostrophe, S apostrophe, their statements with corroborating evidence?
Yeah, potentially.
That corroborating evidence might be talking to other witnesses, right?
Yes.
It might be looking at cell phone data, correct?
Correct.
It might be looking at geolocation data, correct?
Yes.
You're trying to find out where someone is. You might pull information from their phone concerning geolocation data, right?
Yes.
You might pull cell tower information, right?
If there's a need for it.
There's myriad ways that you can find out whether someone's telling the truth about where they were and when they were there, right?
Right.
Let's take a look at your handwritten notes from your interview with Juliana Nagel on October 5th, 2022. This should be tab 7. Oh,
What is it for identification?
my mistake. I thought it was in the tab. It's not. This is a 3-page document. I'll just refresh his recollection with this.
Okay, show Mr. Lally and then go ahead.
Of course. Let me ask a foundational question to Proctor. Do you remember exactly what's in your notes from a conversation that you had on October 5th, 2022?
I don't know.
Do you think it would refresh your recollection to take a look at your handwritten notes?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, my glasses.
Take a look at that. And first, let me just ask you if that refreshes your recollection.
It does, sir.
Are those your notes, your handwritten notes from this, at least from partially from this investigation?
Yes.
Does that reflect your handwritten notes based on a conversation that you had with Juliana Nagel on or about October 5th,
I'm old. I can't see
2022?
anything, Lacey. Ooh, I'm hungry. I had to get something to eat. I was literally going to pass out. That's what I was doing. I had to run out of my car. I got a protein bar. I was literally ready to pass out. Oh, man. Sorry, I was hungry. I'm being rude, eating on camera. And we'll do the other part of testimony too, when how much he says he hates David Yannetti. We'll get into that piece of testimony too. We'll do a part 3 to this. I literally was going to pass out. I'm like, needed food. Yeah, I call it, my friends and I used to call it reserves. You keep it in the car as like reserves. We used to do this, reserves. I got a whole bunch of stuff in my car.
Yes.
My teeth are good. They're healing.
This is going to be an accurate representation.
It's,
of a copy.
They're still pretty sensitive to like pressure right now. I think until the permanent filling in the crown is put on. God, man, it was such. I don't even want to talk about that right now. This is costing me so much money out of my pocket. Oh, what a nightmare! Anyway,
Notes from your interview with Juliana Nagel.
Yes.
Your Honor, with court's permission, I changed my mind. I would like to have this marked as next.
yeah, these are good.
Introduce
These
the
barbells,
Correct.
There an objection?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oops.
And the objection
These ones.
sustained.
Is
barbell.
it true that
They're good.
in your handwritten notes, you list the following individuals based on Juliana Nagel's conversation with you as being at 34 Fairview?
Yeah, I do have to get some.
Brian, Juliana, Mary Kent, Emily Fabiano, Courtney Alba, Colin Albert, and Sarah Levinson. Correct?
Correct.
You then drafted a report memorializing your conversation with Juliana Nagel, correct?
Yes.
And that report is a formal memorialization of your interview based on your investigation, correct?
Yes. A summary of the conversation for the interview.
And that report is the thing that's turned over to the Commonwealth, correct?
Yes.
And the report is the thing that's entered into discovery and provided to the defense.
Correct.
And isn't it true that in that report, you list the individuals that were at 34 Fairview as Brian,
Yeah.
Mary Kent, Emily Fabiano, Sarah Levinson. Is that correct?
Yes.
What's the one name that was left out of your report on that list?
Objection.
Oh, well, was there one name left out?
So,
Break that down, Mr. Jackson.
Sure. Isn't it true that in your report, you excluded the one name, Colin Albert,
right.
from the list of individuals that were in your notes?
Yes, because he arrived later in the evening. The other females were there from the start.
At the time that you wrote your report, the formal report, this one,
Mhm.
you did not believe that your handwritten notes were also going to be disclosed, did you?
I knew that was a possibility.
When you finally did get around to interviewing Colin Albert, you personally conducted that interview, did you not?
Yes.
Colin
Along with
Albert
Trooper
told you
Zach
the
Clark.
truth.
One at a time.
I'm sorry.
Finish your answer, Trooper.
Please go ahead.
Yes, along with Trooper Zach Clark in my office.
Colin Albert told you that he was picked up by Allie McCabe from his uncle's house at 12:10 a.m., correct?
Correct.
Allie McCabe also told you that she picked up Colin Albert at 34 Fairview at 12:10 a.m. and then dropped him off at his house, correct?
Correct.
And then she indicated that she went straight home after that, right?
Yes.
Did you conduct any further investigation to determine whether Colin Albert and Allie McCabe were actually telling the truth about that time?
We did not.
You just took them at their word, correct?
Yes.
Trooper Proctor, you realize that you had a forensic image at the time. You had a forensic image of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone in your possession, right?
Correct.
You're also aware that she has a Life 360 app on her phone that tracks the location of Allie McCabe, correct?
I was not aware the app tracked her daughter. I knew of the Life 360 app, but I wasn't aware of the capability of tracking her daughter.
Did you bother to
Who you? Let me just ask everybody a question. Who the hell even? I never even heard of that app before. I started talking and hearing about this trial. Is there anybody in this chat room that actually uses that app? I've never even heard of it before. Like, who uses that?
look at Jennifer McCabe's Life 360 app to determine whether Colin Albert and Allie McCabe were telling the truth about the time that they supposedly left 34 Fairview?
Objection.
Did you do that online?
I did not.
Take a look
Really?
at
You've used that?
tab 8. Do you recall looking
Am I
at
like
all
the only
at
one?
Life 360 app or its data from Celebrate Report?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you or did you not look at
Guaranteed.
any data
Oh, okay.
from Life 360 from Jennifer McCabe's phone?
Objection.
All right. So this is a good time to take the morning recess, and I'll see how.
All right. We'll end up doing the other the other Proctor testimony soon. We'll do part 3 to that. So let's see. Upcoming shows this week for BLT. Juna Perkins, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. She'll be here live in studio, and she'll be challenging Michael Morrissey in like 2 years for Norfolk DA. And then on Thursday night, I have my good friend Todd McGee coming back. That's probably going to be about a 7:15 show. And we're going to talk about Karen Reed. We're going to talk about Trooper Enrique Delgado Garcia. And possibly, because on that Wednesday will be Trooper Proctor's hearing, probably if we get a report on that, we'll talk about Trooper Proctor as well. So good times tonight. Thank you all so much for all the people that supported the stream this evening, and all of you for just being here and hanging out and chatting and interacting. It's been a really fun time. Welcome all new members. A lot of new members tonight. A lot of new Ghost Squad members, and I'm planning on doing a members only show pretty soon here. It's nice to see all my moderators in. We had Jen Altman stop by, Paul and Nathan Reed, Scott McGinnis was here, Lacey Jane was here. Who else did I see? Did I forget anybody else? I think I might have. Who else? What other moderator was here? I forget, and I apologize. I'm sorry. But anyway, there's the link to Turtle Boy stream. He's going to start in about 7 minutes. Go over, support the Turtle, and I will talk to everybody soon. Thank you all so much for being here. I love all of you, and we'll be back on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. You're not going to want to miss that show. You're not going to want to miss that show. 7 p.m., Juna Perkins live in studio challenging DA Michael Morsi for DA. All right, everybody, have a good night. Enjoy the Turtle. We'll see you soon. Peace.